my video podcast. My name is Miriam. I'm the owner of Mimitoys.ie and puppetsIreland.ie. I'm a mom, I'm self-employed, and I work from home. The reason why I started the podcast is my interest for learning, and similar to the reason why I started my business, which is an interest for children's natural ability to play and learn through play. I hope this podcast would give practical insights to parents and carers, and you're all very welcome. Today, I'll have a chat with James Wood. James, you've been living in Spain for the past 7 years, and you're an English teacher. And over the last 3 years, you've been coaching boxing to adults, and then I think over the past year to children. And you've added a twist to your coaching to children. So can you tell us a little bit about your business, which is Box and English?
Okay, so with the children, I wanted to, obviously being an English teacher and teaching kids after school, obviously through no fault of their own, sometimes when you're doing grammar and things like that, it's not the most exciting. No matter how hard you try, they're tired, they've had a long day and whatever. And I was thinking there must be a kind of way that they can actually have more sort of practical experience of actually learning the language, as opposed to you learn something in school and then you don't use it, essentially, unless you sort of go to an English-speaking country or have English family or friends. And obviously my other passion being boxing, and I was coaching boxing. And obviously I think it's quite well known the benefits of boxing for young people and adults, in my opinion, for everyone, but for young people as well. So I thought maybe it's a good way of combining the two things so they can actually practice their English in a kind of more practical way. And so there it was. That was my kind of initial idea.
I think that's a brilliant idea, because learning I'm sure it's so much more easier to learn through doing and through fun and playing or practicing a sport than sitting down and listening to a teacher.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's the plan anyway, yeah.
And tell me, James, do you have a methodology or a lesson plan for when you start your boxing coaching classes, or how does?
Yeah, I mean, I plan all my classes, but I think that's because of being an English teacher anyway. You have to kind of, obviously, you plan your classes, and and there's sort of fundamental. I think the good thing about boxing is you can break it down pretty easy. There's the fundamental things. So each week you can do, all right, this week we're going to do head defenses, things like that. In terms of English, not really. I mean, the English, I'm just getting them used to. Basically, have to speak to me in English, and they tend to open up kind of quite naturally without me forcing it, in the sense that I think they go because of the boxing, and then they start to realize that, they associate boxing with English, and so therefore they try and speak a lot more. And they're usually quite shy at the beginning, and then they kind of say, I can't speak any English, blah, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, they're trying to ask me questions in English and this and that. So I would say for the boxing, definitely. For the English, I kind of let it just sort of flow with it. At first, I started trying to work out how to do grammar, and obviously you're doing lots of body parts, and I do correct them and things like that, but I kind of made it a bit more English heavy at first, and I realized the trick was it seemed to me anyway, to kind of be more on the boxing side, and kind of slowly they started using their English more.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting, a discovery that I learned in the first few months anyway.
Yeah, because I'm sure that's a new concept that I find this very exciting. And I was just wondering, as I was listening to you there, what type of learner were you yourself when you were young?
Well, not a very good one. I think I was very much one of the people that if I was interested, then that was it. But if I wasn't interested, I was a disaster. And yeah, not really that well behaved and pretty disruptive, really. But yeah, I mean, if and I'm still slightly like that. Sort of, if I'm interested in something, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure if that's a type of learner, but yeah, that's kind of it. But I think,
so I think only someone who's learning in a different way, which is not the classroom environment, would come up with an idea like this, which I think would suit a lot of children and maybe adults or teens.
Yeah.
Learning through doing and having a different learning environment that's not the school. You know, I find this fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I feel quite. I mean, I mean, a lot of teachers do an excellent job, but I feel sorry. I mean, there's a lot of information. You know, I think here anyway in the Basque Country, there's a lot of exams, a lot of homework, and I mean, it's just a lot of information that you have to take on in a day. And you know, I'm kind of from a different generation where you just work, right? That's what you do. But actually, I don't know how productive it is sometimes. I mean, I think you kind of want to. It's always going to be better. Or I would assume it's always going to be better. They're kind of enjoying what they're doing, and
and
sort
it's
of maybe
easier to remember as well.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And tell me, what feedback do you get from the students or the children that attend the boxing classes and the parents?
I think they're happy. I mean, I think, like I said, I think with boxing, it's kind of a two. No, I'm not going to say it's kind of got a double thing going on. So I think that the parents are quite often happy that they're doing exercise anyway and sort of learning something new, and the children like it because it's also kind of it's quite exciting learning to sort of fight in a controlled way or whatever as well. But I think that lots of people comment on the concept of it as well. They think, oh, that's really interesting, and I think a lot of them kind of like the way that they are actually being exposed to English in a kind of non-classroom way, which so I think they're happy. I presume they are.
Okay, well they're coming back anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And is this something you're doing for children at the moment? But is it an idea to do it for the adults classes as well? Do you think that would work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could work. I mean, that was actually, I mean, originally when I first got my English teaching qualifications, that was my plan. So I thought, oh, I could do sort of boxing English, but you could practice. I can't remember. Yeah, that was my original idea, and doing it with adults. I think it could work, but I think obviously I think it could work. Yeah, I mean, at the moment I'm focusing mainly on the kids, but yeah, I mean, it could definitely work.
I think because as adults we never stop learning. I think it's a fantastic. I cannot say how amazing I think the idea is. You know, the whole learning through doing. So as an adult, we would welcome learning, you know, through doing or through a cookery class or something like that. You know, I'm French. Sometimes I've always thought I'd love if I was interested in teaching, I would do through a hands-on whatever workshop of something, cooking or anything like that, because I think you retain information far quicker.
But I think also what's interesting, I mean, what could be interesting with adults is when you set the framework of a class, say in English, or so, for instance, I take Spanish classes. So it doesn't matter. You can be all the rest of my class are from different places, and I'd say the first language for most people is English. But as soon as we step into the classroom, you're speaking Spanish, obviously. But it's quite an interesting thing. So yeah, with the boxing with adults as well, the boxing English with adults, it could work very well in the sense that as soon as there's a group of people together and you're like, okay, this class is in English, most people will carry on speaking English until they get outside the classroom or the gym or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, it could be a really good thing, just a conversation type thing as well. And usually you keep those relationships, well, not usually, but quite often you keep those relationships in the language that you started. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Which is always quite interesting. And that's kind of something that I've sort of realized through learning a language and things like that myself. It's kind of, it's quite an interesting one. It feels uncomfortable when you go back to talking your native language with someone else who you're in a Spanish class with, for example, because you're like, oh, we should be speaking Spanish. So it's kind of interesting right there.
Absolutely. No, that's brilliant. James, that's brilliant. I'm really interested in what you're doing. So I wish you all the best. And thank you very much for your time. And what's the weather like in the Basque Country? Are you under the pouring of rains like we are, or are you good?
Yeah, it's raining quite heavily. I mean, it's been a week now. Maybe it has been a week. Yeah, pretty consistent rain. Right, so that's good. But it's good because it's nice and green. So
yeah, I get you.
Yeah, like where you are.